Dr. Ashok Gulati, Infosys Chair Professor Agriculture at ICRIER. Thanks very much, sir. Great to have you back on the show. It's been a long while. Appreciate your time. Prashant this side. So how would you read the monsoon progress so far? I'm sure you have a close eye on it. Some 18%, 19% deficiency from the beginning of June.
Yeah, but this initial delay doesn't really matter if the spread is good enough, and in the coming weeks it catches up. So a delay of a week or so doesn't matter much for agriculture.
Sure. Many have made the point about reservoir levels being extremely low, some 17% compared to 27% same time last year. And the fact that early onset is equally important.
Compared to that, that damage of last year's, because before the reservoirs get filled, that lowest level will be visible, but quite a few are already filling up very fast, especially in Kerala. But as you go up into Karnataka and Maharashtra, that is where the challenge would be. So how quickly that is reaching those portions of Marathwada and others, I think we'll have to wait for another 3-5 days, and hopefully the situation will improve dramatically.
So, you've written extensively and you've slammed the administration as well for the poor response to the severe drought that some of these areas have faced. Could you just talk to us a little bit through what your impressions now are as to what the situation is, on the ground in these areas, some of the worst affected areas?
Two areas came to limelight, but actually there were more than 250 districts which were reeling under drought conditions. We hear about Marathwada and Bundelkhand to some extent, but many other districts were really in trouble. But that damage and that past and slow response of the government, I would say, is almost coming to an end. And now, hopefully, the rain gods would be more benign. The pity is that, when there is a challenging time, if our system does not respond and does not rise to that, that is where even after 67, 68 years, if we are still talking, whatever the monsoon will give us, and that will determine what the situation of agriculture or the farmers would be, it's pathetic. It's not this government, but it's a continuous neglect of agriculture. When I read the news and I see those people coming to Delhi from Bundelkhand or Marathwada and other places, literally on the railway stations or bus stands under the flyovers, is that the India that we are proud of? So why couldn't we rise to the challenge at that time? So the damage has been done. And now, irrespective of whether the government or not government, somebody up in the sky is going to take care, and that's a pity.
In terms of one of my colleagues describing the situation once asked me, how many union agriculture ministers, how many names of union agriculture ministers do I remember? I could actually come up with one or two names, Dr. Gulati, as compared to, a number of defense ministers or finance ministers or industry ministers, etc., etc. So agriculture over the last many decades has been essentially a unimportant kind of ministry, and it shows.
This is where you feel that there is an inbuilt urban bias in the system. We feel great in announcing or doing things which look glitzy and big things to you and me, be it the bullet trains or 100 smart cities and so on and so forth. But half the people in the country literally defecating in the open. In the rural areas, electricity still doesn't come for 8 hours, 10 hours. and we are talking that we are surplus in water, in power in the country first time. Now there is a big mismatch. What you observe on the ground in the rural areas and what sitting in Delhi when we hear all these big announcements, I think that bridge, that gap needs to be bridged, and that is when India will celebrate properly whatever the achievements are. At present there are more announcements and very less on the ground that you see. And especially rural neglect. I mean, 2 years of droughts back to back, it has been pathetic for the farmers.
Sir, you obviously, I mean, we've discussed over the years your thoughts on what needs to be done for agriculture. 2 years in for the new government, is the government sort of at the center addressing what needs to be done in any way, some of the structural issues?
You know, as far as agriculture is concerned, I think first year and year and a half, people hardly knew. And you are right as saying that, you know, who is running the show at the center in terms of agriculture policies. There was hardly anything that was moving. But I think the Supreme Court heard the public litigation, and thereafter whatever Supreme Court had asked, Prime Minister took perhaps that seriously, talked to different chief ministers of the drought hit states, and something is in the offing. It's late in the game, but I think something has started moving. The only big thing that they did, and the results of that will be seen in the next 2 years or so, is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Because, you know, when the crop fails, if you don't have any fallback, and it is the insurance system that can give them a fallback, if you don't have in place that thing, the earlier system was less said the better. They have now introduced the new scheme, but still the infrastructure for that scheme is not in place to do quick assessment of the damages and the dispersal of the compensation, whatever is given directly to their accounts. So the system is moving, but way below what is expected and what is needed, given the acute situation that farming population has been facing. So unfortunate for the country, because the masses and the largest number of people are in that sector. And that's growth rate is less than 0.5%. You know, for 2 years average is 0.5%, less than the rate of growth of population. So you can imagine what is happening there.